Hello and welcome to Yerushalmi Berachos Daf Tzadi Daled and the Ozahadar print. This is our Siyum on Maseches Berachos. It's amazing that we've gotten here. Let's share a couple of thoughts, and we will end with a Siyum thought. So the Gemara says actually a very interesting thing. Yeshua from Deroma in the south said three things Bezdin Shalmatan were Gozer, and Bezdin Shalmata agreed with them. Bezdin Shalmala in heaven agreed. These are the three things. Now before I read the list, you can look in the Agadas Leo, who asked, "What about Til Sedayim and other things that Shlomo added, etc." He gives a lot of different explanations, and I'm going to go through a very very short shtickle of his. But basically, his short answer, al regalachas, is that these were things that we see from Sukkim that Shemayim was maskim, and these were all things that actually had a potential negative effect on Klal Yisrael as well, even though you'll see it in a second. The first one is the Cherem of Yericho that Yoshua made when they first entered into Eretz Yisrael. The second one is Megillas Esther, and the third one is Sheila Shalom B'Shem, which is very famous, which the Mishnah is referring to, which is why this whole thing is here. Vayomer Boaz Alakotzrim Hashem Imachem. So he explains like this, that the Cherem of Yericho is very obvious because the Gemara says explicitly that 36 people died, or the Rosh Sanhedrin, whichever Chazal you go with, which I think most Mepharshim explain that. So therefore, even though it caused a tremendous damage to Klal Yisrael, still Shemayim was masking to it, and Klal Yisrael were makabel it. Megillas Esther, he says, has a financial aspect because he made Mishnah V'Simcha, Shalach Manas Shloreu, so there's a financial obligation that is there, and therefore it's something that Klal Yisrael was makabel, and in Shemayim they were masking, but it's something that causes Chisar and Kiss, so it needed that extra approval. And the last thing is using Shem Hashem when greeting someone. So on the one hand, people were becoming lax and forgetting about Shem Hashem. But on the other hand, now that they instituted it, it would make people more be mezalzel in the Shem Hashem also, which is also a very chomer thing, or maybe make a shvua shav, which is also very chomer. So therefore, that's why that was something that was discussed. Okay, then a couple of very interesting things. Okay, so a Brisa says, and Reisa is a brios shenes yashu yedem Torah. Hold on, where do I want to go to? Over here. Okay, here it is. So Amar Belazar, Ma Tino Kazet Tzarech Linik B'chol Shosh B'Yom Kach Kol Avin Shvi Yisrael Tzarech Liga B'Torah B'chol Shosh B'Yom. So it's interesting because the Bavli brings down a similar lashon that basically Chazal compare Divrei Torah to a child nursing from its mother, and it says there's many comparisons to it, but one of the aspects is that every time the child nurses from the mother, if he finds different flavors, so too Divrei Torah has different flavors. Here you see a different aspect of Chazal, that the child needs it for his or her nourishment, and so too every single person needs to dedicate parts of his day to learning, and that's a very very important thing. Then Rav Yonah b'Shem Rav Yossi ben Gezerah, he says, Kol pitaya bishin, all chatter is bad. Now this is one way of reading it. Upitaya do raisa tavin, but Torah chatter is good. So the question is, what exactly does that mean? So pitaya means a sound, like pitput means just the sound. So normally kol amar b'dvar maybe chet, but here regarding to Torah, the more one speaks in Torah is maybe chet. It doesn't mean that the more he elaborates. We find the concept. Okay, let me zoom out. We find a concept of Kol Amar Reisa Meshubach, which is telling over the praises of Hashem. It doesn't mean you can't teach Derek Tzara, which we'll get a good kick out of the last words of the Yerushalmi of Berachos versus the Bavli of Berachos. We'll get a good kick out of that in a moment. But anyway, then he says like this: Kol Kidvaya Tavin, all lies are. 1 second, I wanted to skip that. Sorry. So the question is like, what does that even mean? All chatter is bad, but why are you calling the words of Torah chatter? It's a little strange. So one of them is one shot. The first one said many different things. So one solution is just change the girsa, which I want to just read you the in the Vilna. One Amudi Yerushalayim brings that the Arach and Erech in letter Zion, he says he has a different girsa. He says Kol Berechaya Tavin, Berechaya Doraisa Bishin, and he says all satisfaction is good except for a person to say I'm satisfied in Torah. I've learned enough. I'm good. So he says that's what he refers to, which is a very beautiful Maimer Chazal. Again, that's not the gears that we had, but that's what the Aruch had. I'm not sure which one he's changing, by the way. So the Ben Yoda says a similar shot that I wanted to bring down, which is like this: that Chazal bring Mashalom to explain things. So that is, it sounds like it's chatter, but really it's very, very deep. And the truth is, and so that's a good thing. The Chofetz Chaim was the master of Mashalom that really, really stirred your heart. But there's a Medrash in Shir Shirim Rabbah that says like this. It says, Chazal asks, why do we always bring a mashal to explain things? It's kind of an insult to the Torah, that the Torah's words are beautiful, and then all of a sudden you bring this earthly story. Why do you have to do that? So the Medrash answers, it's a brilliant Medrash that we can fathom, that Mashal Amad Ovdama. I'll give you a mashal to answer it, which is funny because it's answering with a mashal, which is exactly why do you always bring a mashal. So it says there was once a king who was traveling, and it was very dark, and they were bringing him back to his palace, and they hit a bump, and all of a sudden his treasure chest spilled out many coins. And so they quickly took the king home respectfully, and they said, we'll go back and we'll go get your coins. They couldn't see anything. So they came back, and they used candles, and they were able to find all the coins that were missing. So says the Medrash, what's the mashal? The mashal is that it took a little bit of wax, which is a cheap little thing, in order to be able to find these valuable gold coins. So too, a little bit of wax, a little bit of mashalim, bring out the splendor and the beauty of Torah and the deeper understanding of Torah. And that's what it's referring to, that aspect. Another part of it is Sichas Chulin, that even the Sichas Chulin is Tzrichen Lima, that Talmidei Chacham bring lots of understanding to the world. The last thing is something that I might have mentioned earlier. So Rishon ben Lakish says in Megillas Chasidim, I found the following thing, that it's talking about if you forsake me, the Torah, for one day, Yomai Mazveka, then I'll forsake you for two, because let's say we start off back to back, and I walk 1 day's worth away from you, you walk 1 day's worth away from me. I'm not 1 day away from you, I'm 2 days away from you, because you're also walking, and that's the mashalim. So what's this mashal? Two people, Shtayim Shiatzu, two people were who left, Echad mitiveria ve'echad mitziporin. One of them left Tiveria, one of them left Tzipori. I'll get to that in a moment because I might have spoken about it earlier. I don't remember. Upago zebazeh b'chada bishkana, and then they meet each other in one lodging place. So speak live for zemizeh, achahalach zeh mil v'zeh mil. So each one is distant. Now, okay. So we find in Chazal this comparison of Tzipori and Tiveria many, many times. So, for example, the Bavli in Shabbos Taf Kuf Ches, it says, Rav Yossi says, Yehei Chalki, I should be I want to have the portion of those that take in Shabbos in Tiveria, and those that give do Matzei Shabbos in Tziporin. And I believe that I mentioned this earlier, a few blocks back, where it was talking about two different coins for making Havdalah that between these two cities. So again, just to review very briefly, these two cities you find in Chazal many, many times that they constantly go with each other. And the Ben Yoyada and Ben Ayo has a whole shtickle on this as well, that it's the Guf and the Ruach. Ayin Sham, very, very interesting shot over there. Not for now exactly, but basically we find these two concepts of these two cities. That one of them, what's it called? Tiveria was at the bottom of the hill in a valley, but it was right near Tzipori, which is at the top of the mountain. And the Gemara in Megillah Daf Hey Amud Aleph, I believe, talks about why these two places are called what they're called, and we talked about that earlier as well when we discussed it. So the point is that there's a mushal here of these two cities which had an appreciation of Torah, which Chazal bring down according to some Midrashim, that the last place that the Sanhedrin was Gola from was Tiveria, and Tiveria is actually called Tabar. It's a stomach, because the stomach is what nourishes the entire body, just like the Sanhedrin that was there nourishes the body, and that's where Mashiach will come, to that exact place. And the point is that we're trying to bring Mashiach by not turning our back on the Torah, by making sure that we're going towards the Torah. Okay. Last thing I want to share, and then a quick Siyum thought, which is part of this idea. Amar Elazar b'Shemer b'Chanina. Remember the contrast of how Bavli and Yerushalmi end. Talmidei Chacham mar m'shalom olam. Ma tam v'chol b'nayach lemudei Hashem v'rav shalom b'nayach. It doesn't say al tikri b'nayach. There's no drasha because it's Yerushalmi. It understands. You understand that. It just goes with it. Remember, it's Lashon Klila. It's always brief. So this has been an amazing start of a journey of Yerushalmi Berachos. For those of you that this is your first time here, this is an amazing thing that you've accomplished, and you should go mechayil al chayil, make sure that you share a Siyum with your family and show the appreciation of Torah. I want to give hakaras tov to many people, but I want to speak out. I was thinking about this project of what has carried me forward. So first of all, it's your feedback, which is always appreciated, that Talmidei Chacham are mar m'shalom olam, because they are constantly trying to understand the Torah better. One thing is that I wanted to do something in honor of Chaim Kanievsky, because his life really impacted me very, very deeply. and I know that Yerushalmi was something that he wrote on, and his Pirush, hopefully we quoted a couple times, but it's something that was very, very meaningful to me. Another one was Refaim Greenblatt, that's all my Rebbe, who always encouraged me to do Daf Yomi, and to learn Yerushalmi, and to learn many things, understanding that this is the way that a person can understand Torah much better. And the times that he would talk to me, I quoted, I believe, one or two things from him throughout Masechus Berachos. Hopefully, Be'ezer Hashem, more things to come as well. The third thing is my father, Shlita, who should be well. I'm very, very makir tov to my father for always exposing me to Midrashei Chazal. And Yerushalmi is filled with secret Midrashei Chazal that really are very, very fascinating stories that Chazal say that if you want to learn Yerushalayim, that's the way to do it. And Baruch Hashem, I'm happy that my kids have approved and have said to me, Daddy, you tell very good stories. And I say, Baruch Hashem, I got that from my father, who was always telling over the Mamari Chazal in Midrashim that he was learning. And so that always whet my appetite to learn more. And there are many, many beautiful Mamari Chazal in Masechus Berachos. Like we mentioned earlier, it was one, Bika Bika Mali Din Rizav is a whole medrash, but yet it's barely even discussed. Even in this Gemara over here, we have an entire story of Elkanah being Makari people, and really it's Iker Chasser Ben Sefer because it's a whole Tanah Devei Rabbah number Ches, where it tells the whole story, and the Yerushalmi just mentions one little word. But that's the Divrei Torah Nim Makam Makam V'Ashir Makam Makam, and that's why Chazal say that if you're Mekayim the Torah, but only you're Mekayim it with in Portis, then you'll Sofa L'Kayim Ba'Osher, that we should be Zoche, that we're Mekayim it Ba'oni in Aniyas El B'Das, that we're lacking understanding, but with our Amel and all that we put in, we should be Zocha to be Mekayim the Torah with Osher, with a deeper understanding of Torah, how it impacts us, how it makes us better people, and how it inspires us. Thank you for being on this journey with me, and thank you for all the people that have helped me, and I look forward to growing with you as we Be'ezer Hashem embark on Peah.